Hello, my friends, and welcome to today's edition of Inside the Minds. I'm Nelson Almeida, once again here with you, and today, I bring to you the electoral system of the United States. And why do I bring you the electoral system of the United States? Because in the last times there's been many people that have quite of a difficulty to understand how all that works, why they don't work as most of the world works in direct and straight electoral election system. So the one who have more votes wins, and the United States doesn't have it. So that's why I bring to you here today uh, a good part of the explanation, and also um, my opinion about what is this electoral system, how it works, why it works in the way that it works, and the reasons that we can consider good or bad. So first of all, I want to say my true happiness for Joe Biden to win. I know that this can bring a lot of discussions on this situation, but truth be told, we need someone to unite people, to unite not only the US but also the world. And why? What do I mean with this unite the world? We cannot forget that when we speak about the United States, we are not just speaking about the United States. We are speaking about one of the three major financial, political, and military forces in the world. So when we speak about um, politics, when we speak about uh, peace in the world, and when we speak about all these things, we have to see first that we are ruled, whatever we want it or not, we are ruled by these three major forces, being them. I'm just putting here my camera a little bit straighter because it's quite all right. No, it's better this way. All right, because we have to see that we are talking about these three major forces. And even when we have elections in our own countries, we have to see that those elections are not just how we are going to work inside our country, but also how we are going to work with our direct partners. In this case, our partners, for instance, in the US, our partners in China, our partners in Germany, in France, because we have to see. I was talking about three major forces in the world politics and the economics, but also we have to put here at least one more big superpower, being that Germany, because whatever we like it or not, Germany is who controls in a certain way, not not so much the political side, but the economical and part of and good part of the military side of the European Union. So nothing is done, nothing is thought without having consent of Germany, also from France, but not as much from France as it is from Germany. That's why every time these four major countries have elections, that will have a big impact in in the world in the world's politics, in the world's economics, and in the world peace. Um, I understand that some of you might be thinking, what about Great Britain? All right. Of course, this is just my opinion, of course, but Great Britain used to be this big superpower, and it was a superpower until they decide to leave the European Union. And I say this mostly because when we have a country so well organized that has this big Commonwealth, has Great Britain have, or in this case, if you prefer, has England has, or as the English monarchy has, because uh, talking about Great Britain is something for another program, a later program. One day we might talk about Great Britain, because there is a lot that we can talk about here, and this will lead us to a big conversation just about Great Britain and the Scottish independence, even the Northern Irish independence, things like that. This will lead us to a big conversation, and I will leave that for a different program one day later, not for today. So let's go before we go to just thinking about US and how they work in their electoral system. I was just giving my idea about the UK. As I was saying before, the UK used to be a big superpower. And why do I say used to be? Used to be mostly because by the point they lose their how can I say it? By the point they lose their the trust, they lose the support. It's the better word. They lose the support of the European Union. It starts to be a country more weakened, or a group of countries more weakened. Well, I'm saying group of countries, but once again, I have to take from these Scotland and Northern Ireland for the reasons I was saying before. And by that moment, you reach to the point that you don't have the same strength towards Europe, because one thing was we've been for a long time in the back of Great Britain. We've been for a long time doing everything like the Great Britain would say and would tell. and that's for me, that was one of the worst decisions we could do for a long time, because if the Great Britain was good with one country, one or another big superpower, we would go after Great Britain, because if they were good with the US, we would go after Great Britain, or in this case after England, to for the US. If they were bad in bad manners with US, we would support, and that kind of blind support cannot keep happening, as it is a very normal situation to support, and even a normal situation to bear. And we cannot bear this kind of situation, because it is at least quite stupid. For a lack of better word, is just quite stupid. So, with that in mind, that that's why I don't bring the UK to this miscellany of the most powerful countries, because right now we see, not Great Britain, of course, the other countries are going behind what England says, but because they have to do it by their constitution. But right now, England is losing a lot of power, even in their economical situation, and even in their currency basis. They are losing a lot of power. That's why I don't bring Great Britain to be a part of this conversation of the biggest superpowers nowadays. So let's just concentrate of on what brings me here today for today's program, and that is the US electoral system. So, as I said before, they don't work as we work. US works in three to four different systems, as we are going to see in the next videos. And in you have the links below as well. So, but I'm going to show here the videos anyway, and also you can see, if you prefer, in the links below, you can see the videos straight to the website. Just to give just a piece of my mind about their electoral system. Of course, that it's a little bit weird when happen things like happened, for instance, 4 years ago with Hillary Clinton, or to happen things like happened in the new millennium in 2000 with Al Gore and George W. Bush. And the reason because that is weird is because even Al Gore in that time, or like today, Hillary, or like 4 years ago, Hillary, they won the election. But they won the election in general, and this is when I say won the election, is in the last phase, is just in the election already for the presidency and for the Congress. That's something that's going to be explained in the following videos that I'm going to show you here. But when it's weird when happens situations like this, that someone wins in the overall election, or in the public vote, but they doesn't win in the electoral college. And the reason they didn't win in the electoral college is because of the states, because each state has their own rules, for many of these voting situations and for the voting system, but mostly the number of people that they can elect by state depends on each year census. So, and the census, most of you know what is the census, is to see how many people does a country have, on in this case does a state has. So for instance, if imagine that in Portugal we work by districts. We are a small country, we don't need states, we work by districts. Imagine that for the district that I live is Castelo Branco, has a global of 500,000 people, for instance. But the district nearby, that is Guarda, has just 200,000 people, for instance. When it's the time to elect the people for the Congress, the Congresses, the census will make difference, because imagine there is 20 people that each state can elect when everything starts. So imagine that they they share 25 people that each district could elect. It is fair, for instance, that a district with 500,000 people have the same right to elect just 25, has Guarda that only has 200,000 also can elect. Is that fair? You know what I mean? Because the question, imagine that, for instance, Castelo Branco is a Democrat, or mostly Democrat district, but in Guarda is more Republican. Okay. The question here is that when it's time to vote, of course, even if we have more people, the way that we vote should count like a little bit more. You know what I mean? I know that it sound and it sound contrasense. You know, it sounds like against logic, but you'll see in the videos, this has a lot of logic. Of course, that it is more easy. It is more easy to make the universal vote, as it's called, the universal vote, and whoever has more votes wins. But imagine, imagine Lisbon. Imagine that has around 2 million people. Castelo Branco just has 500. Of course, they will have more votes. They will have more votes in the electoral college, because imagine, if even in the beginning they all have 25 people. When the census finished, for instance, Lisbon will have 30 or 40 they can elect, and we will just elect 15, you know, or 10. You know what I mean with this? Because it has a point. Of course, that I'm saying that, of course, that doesn't mean that the state is more Republican, the other states will not are not as much, and even or more Democrats. That's not the point. But when we live, in Portugal, this doesn't. I was trying to give you an example with Portugal, but in Portugal it would never work, because we don't have that much people. we don't have that much districts, and the districts are not that much populated, as we can see in some parts of the US. So, and we have a lot of parties, and this kind of system would not work as well as, for instance, works in the United States. And more, we don't do these many elections because we don't have primaries. We don't have, so each party has a candidate, and we vote for the candidates for presidency, government, local governments, and the small governments in the council governments. Let's say this, and for the council as well. We don't need that kind of system because it will make everything very very strange and very very weird to deal with. So it is not logical for us. But for instance, in the case of United States, that is a country with around 200 million people, with 50 states and more. And we cannot forget, sometimes they just speak about the 50 states, and we cannot forget that even they don't say so this much, the smaller, no, sorry, not smaller, the no states, let's call it the no states, the ones that they doesn't belong as states but as federal and administrative, yes, I'm saying right, I think. Small administrative regions like Puerto Rico, like Guam, like American Samoa, like I know the American Virgin Islands, and I think that I'm forgetting someone around here, but those Northern Marianas and so on and so on. I think there is one or two more regions that that it's escaping. Those also vote for United States presidency. So this makes a big difference and a lot of sense. So what I'm going to do now I'm going to start to share my screen. So allow me just to share my screen, okay? All right. So you are now watching what is my background of my Android system, where I'm going to show you the links that you can see also below in the description about today's topic. And also, if you want to give a better look of everything that I've been talking with you till this moment. So let's start with this with Wikipedia links. So this link, if you prefer, I'm just going to give a fast look to this link, because this is very explanatory. The system of the voting system, voting method as they call it here, that all the states have, and it is a very complex. It seems complex in a certain. It seems complex in the beginning. I also thought that it was very very complex, but I actually believe that with time you will start to take this in a much more understanding system. So if you want, so I'm just passing here in a faster pace some of the things that you're going to see. But if you have the Wikipedia link below, if you would like to watch it during even during the show or after the show finishes, if you would like to give it a good look, and try to understand how the system works. Now, now I'm going. So as I said, I have here two videos, and the first one, as in the both of these videos are videos that 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 in a certain way it will explain you basically the same. The first one is from the U.S. government, so we are in the U.S. government side, so all the rights are from them. And this is a video that they made for mostly for the younger generation, for the kids, for them to understand how system works, but they don't bring it all everything that people need to understand about the elections. But I'm going to show this one here first, and then I'm going to show you the other, so you can have a better understanding of what is this voting system that US have. So let me just open, open. Okay, so let me just open for you all the link, and okay, so this comes back, and let's so have a look.
Lots of people dream of becoming President of the United States. But to officially run for office, a person needs to meet three basic requirements established by the U.S. Constitution. A presidential candidate must be a natural-born citizen, at least 35 years old, and a U.S. resident for at least 14 years. People with similar ideas usually belong to the same political party. The two main parties in the U.S. are Republican and Democrat. Many people want to be president. They campaign around the country and compete to try to win their party's nomination. In caucuses, party members meet, discuss, and vote for who they think would be the best party candidate. In primaries, party members vote in a state election for the candidate they want to represent them in the general election. After the primaries and caucuses, each major party, Democrat and Republican, holds a national convention to select a presidential nominee. The party's presidential nominee announces his or her choice for vice president. The presidential candidates campaign throughout the country to win the support of the general population. On election day, people in every state cast their vote. When people cast their vote, they are actually voting for a group of people called electors. The number of electors each state gets is equal to its total number of senators and representatives in Congress. A total of 538 electors form the Electoral College. Each elector casts one vote following the general election. The candidate who gets 270 votes or more wins. The newly elected president and vice president are then inaugurated on January 20th. For more information, go to kids.usa.gov/president.
Alright, so as you saw it here, this is one part of everything that we see as the election. Let me just open here the camera so you can also watch me here. Alright, so you can see here on the side. So they have this. This is one part of the system, but there is small things that many of us still don't understand how it works and why it works the way that it works. For instance, why are the presidential vote always in early November? Why only in January, almost in late January, they are inducted as the president in office? So this is kind of things that it makes the situation in the United States more situation, the electoral situation, more difficult that already is. So I'm going to pass now. I'm going to close the camera now, and you just keep hearing my voice for now. And I'm going to show you now the second video that explains a little bit better what is the electoral system in all on everything that we need to understand. So this is the credit is for TRT World on YouTube, and we are going to show you the video. So and we will speak again very soon. So let's go.
It may not be the world's largest democracy or the strongest democracy, but it very well may be the most consequential. And the leader of this democracy is also the leader of the free worlds. The U.S. presidential election will be held on November the 3rd, 2020, but it's no simple date. The date is set by law for the general elections of federal public officials, and it states that the president and vice president will be elected every 4 years in years divisible by 4 on the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. And if that isn't complicated enough, you would think that the candidate with the most number of votes would be elected president. Well, that's not exactly the case. In fact, twice in the last 20 years, the candidate that has gotten the most number of votes was not the one elected president. In 2000, Al Gore received more votes than George W. Bush, and in 2016, Hillary Clinton got more votes than Donald Trump. Neither of them went on to the White House. It's because the president needs to win the Electoral College rather than popular vote. But the Electoral College is a process that dictates the will of the voters that is reflected in the actions of state electors, a total of 538 of them. And the larger a state's population, the more state electors it has. So California, the state with the largest population, has the largest number of electoral votes, while Delaware gets less than a tenth of that. In almost all states, electoral votes are apportioned on a winner-takes-all basis. Maine and Nebraska are the two exceptions. So it doesn't matter if you win a state by a small or large margin. If you get more votes than your opponent in that state, then you take all of the state's electoral votes. And the first one to 270 wins. So now that we have that set, let's talk about voting. The simple part is that you have to be an American citizen and at least 18 years of age on election day to vote. And in all states, except for North Dakota, all citizens who wish to vote are required to register. So now that you're a registered voter, how do you vote? Well, the simplest and most traditional way is to show up at a polling station on election day and cast your ballot. But if you're unable to go to a polling station on election day, then you may vote by using an absentee ballot. Absentee ballots can be sent by mail or dropped off in locked boxes. About half of the states allow no excuse absentee voting, where no reason is required to request a ballot. Others require a valid reason, such as health issues or travel. But due to the coronavirus pandemic, many states have amended their voting rules and now allow people to mail in their vote. And this election year, we're seeing record number of people vote by mail. Then there are early elections. 33 states allow their residents to vote before Election Day. In fact, New Yorkers are able to vote early in the presidential election for the first time in their history. Early voting windows are determined by each state, and the period can vary between 4 to 50 days prior to Election Day. The COVID-19 pandemic has led many states to both reduce the number of polling stations and relax the requirements for mail-in and early voting. Now, we have to count the votes. The last day to vote in the 2020 presidential election is November the 3rd, but ballots may not be counted for several days, if not weeks afterwards. That's because there are a record number of mail-in votes, and most states will not start counting them until Election Day. So, we may not know the winner for quite some time. But rest assured, the 20th Amendment dictates that the president will start his or her term exactly at 12:01 p.m. on January 20th, 2021.
Okay, so as you seen, and this is possibly a better way of explaining how all this process works. So let me just pass to once again to the camera. So in no way this is a simple system. It is not. As we were able to see, the US, due to all this, its population, the size of their population, this sounds quite difficult. But I hope that with both of these videos, and also you have the links below in the description, I hope that can help you to understand how the US system works, why working this way can be a good solution for many countries, like for with the size of the US, like with the size, not just the size, but also the number of people they have, like Brazil, for instance. They are very big and populated countries, like you see in India, or in Russia, for instance. This can be a very good system if applied rightfully. So and that's it. I just want to say one last thing before I go. About this subject, I must admit that after all this, I'm very happy about seeing Joe Biden as the next United States president. I hope that, as I said before, whoever is the president of the United States will have a huge effect and make a huge difference regarding the world policies with the other big dogs of political and economical system. So I hope that, even I feel for myself that Joe Biden is a 4-year president only because of his age already, and we don't know if he will be able to keep the pace during all the time. But I truly believe that his vice president, Kamala Harris. I truly believe that in 4 years will be here to see her running for president, and might have the first female president in the history of the United States, and also someone that will stay there for 8 years and to keep doing the work and improving, of course, the work that Joe Biden will do, hopefully, but mostly to keep doing the great work that Barack Obama done, and that Donald Trump almost wrecked it in such a childish way, because it is what Donald Trump does. And he's a kid, a young child inside an elderly body. So we cannot allow a populist rule over a country and almost wrecked it. So let's see what the future will bring, but this is my belief, is that these 4 years will be to prepare and to help Kamala Harris to get into this political system, this presidential system, and start to make the difference now, so she can be the first female as the first female president of the United States, and can rule for the rightful 8 years, and can unite and I believe will unite very strongly the United States and help to make the world a better place to live, and also politically and economically a nice place to live. And with that, I reach the end of my program today. I hope you enjoyed. Don't you forget to check on my sponsors. Will be here somewhere at the side. And also on the description you have the links to them. So here inside, so to Wojtek, Juskiewicz, and also to Montes Hermínios. I'm not recording there today because with all these pandemics rules, I was not able to record there today. Every time I can, so I'm recording in my studio when I can record there. Today is not the case, but even though I hope that you enjoy today's program, and I really appreciate everyone that's been here speaking with me today, and for the comments that you leave here. And don't you forget, we still have the giveaway on, and go for the giveaway, because we want to give away what we have till the end of the year. And also don't you forget, we have to check on our program lineup. It's weekly lineup. It works always in the same system, same days, same program. So just keep an eye on our social media, and come talk with us and have a very nice time. So with this, I reach the end. I'm Nelson Almeida, and I hope you have a great weekend and an even better week. So everything going on good, and see you soon. Take care. Goodbye. Namaste.